Wait.
Good evening, everyone, fellow Toastmasters from District 109 and beyond. Welcome to another interview of the interview series for this year of District 109. And we are here at Tales of Toastmasters. And today we have 3 Toastmasters from Malta, one of the 4 countries which got recently added to our District 109 Toastmasters family. And tonight with me, I have Darine Abules, Marco Ambrogio, and Roderick Gregg. And my name is Frank Kaiser. I'm guiding you through this kind of panel discussion we have tonight. And I would like to ask our fellow Toastmasters from Malta to give a short introduction about themselves. And we start with you, Darine. Good evening. Welcome.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Darine. I'm currently living in Malta on this tiny island. I'm actually Lebanese. I've been living here for 30 years, so I'm practically Maltese. I love this tiny island, and now I can call it my home. And yes, my journey with Toastmasters, I consider it as my baby. So I vouch always for anyone to join Toastmasters.
Thank you, Darine. Maybe we'll have some siblings as well. You don't know in the future, all right? Thank you, Darine. So let's continue with you, Roderick. Welcome. Good evening.
Good evening, Frank. Well, I'll give you an unconventional introduction. So instead of telling you who I am, I'll tell you what I'm most like and most unlike. I'm most like a thrill seeker, adrenaline junkie. I've done all kinds of dangerous sports like skydiving, paragliding, rock climbing, and the like. I've been up there in commercial airspace, outside an aeroplane for 15 minutes, and survived to tell the tale. Of course, this was when I was young, single, and ready to mingle, which was also when I jumped off a cliff to avoid getting arrested. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm a public accountant by profession, a husband and father by choice, and a public speaker by passion. Frank?
Thank you so much, Roderick. We just heard the tale within a tale. Thank you so much. And then we hand over to you now, Marco. Good evening to you as well. Let's hear about you. Who are you?
Thank you, Frank. Good evening to everybody. My name is Marco Ambrogio. I am Italian. I joined Toastmasters Malta when I moved here about 4 years ago. Currently, I am the immediate past president, having held the position of president last year and vice president of membership 2 years ago. I'm passionate about communication. Toastmasters, it's a fantastic community here in Malta and in other countries that I've been visiting live and online lately. And so I'm very happy to share some insight about our club life here in Malta. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you so much, Marco, as well. Thank you to all of 3 of you for a short introduction. And thank you as well to reply to our request that we have some questions in mind for you to ask. And as we said during the preparation, fear not. So I will not ask any scary questions to you. I promise this one. Of course. So let's start with the first question. And that question goes to you, Darine. How many clubs are there currently in Malta?
Currently, only one. I mean, with a population of 500,000 on a tiny island, at the moment we have just one club. However, we have some plans, future plans to create another club. And
thank you, Darine.
Currently, we have 29 members.
And what's the name of the club? Darine, what's the name of the club? Am I audible?
Toastmasters Malta, Frank.
Toastmasters Malta. Okay, just for our audience who might not know this, right? Okay, Darine, we have a little bit of an issue with your line, but I think we can make it through this interview. So stay tuned, stay connected. Roderick, this question goes to you. When was the first club in Malta established? So how long do we already have Toastmasters in Malta?
Well, the beginning of this club traces back to June 2010. I wasn't a member at that time because I was lucky enough to join about 3 years later. My information about the history of the club goes back to a certain Steve Holmes, a British firefighter who had retired in Malta. And upon his retirement, he looked up a club, found that there was no club, and started an informal gathering of Toastmasters through a LinkedIn advert. That was how, if you like, the informal club started. Then I believe about 5 years later, the club got chartered And last year, under the president of Marco, when Marco was president, the club became districted, if I'm not mistaken.
Thank you so much, Roderick. And that leads me to the next question, which I would like you, to, Marco, to jump in here. So how would you define the Toastmasters experience in your country? So let's say the good things and maybe something that does not work. And what is all about Malta? So how can we understand the Toastmasters experience in Malta?
Well, Frank, thank you for the question. The Toastmasters experience in Malta, it's a very dynamic one because in Malta there are a lot of foreigners living here. Probably about 20% of the population is a foreigner. Therefore, even the club is like that because we have a big percentage of Maltese members, but as well we have a big number of foreign members from Italy, Poland, Tunisia, Sri Lanka, Germany, France, just to mention some names. That creates a unique community which still embed everything that we know and we like Toastmasters for, just with this added value of being very open and with a lot of interesting speeches, table topics, because when you mix together so many cultures, the result is, yes, unpredictable, but often full of magic. And this is really what I invite everyone to try if at some point you will be visiting Malta in person or online, because we moved online and our club is running almost weekly meeting on Tuesday online. So this is how I would describe the community: dynamic, very diverse, very interesting. I joined because it was a great group. It was a way to learn something new, to be challenged, to have some thoughtful question being asked, and to listen to some speakers that will never bore you. That's really how I would describe Toastmasters Malta.
Thank you so much, Marco. And with respect to that, you said that you have 20% of the population of Malta is coming from other countries. So looking into the Toastmasters Club of Malta, so can you also elaborate a little bit on what is the average age of Toastmasters within that club? And I assume that basically you have members from every kind or segment of the society, right?
Yes, that's correct, Frank. I would say most of the society is represented at the club. We have people from the IT sector, people from university, people from the business side. The age group, the average, I would say, is between 30 and 40 years old, even if we have people younger and older. And as I said, we do have often guests that comes from abroad, so that always add an interesting component because many people come to Malta for conferences, for short stay on holiday or on business trip and things like that. So it always creates something to look forward to. So yes, it's very much that the entire country is represented across the board. Yes.
Thank you, Marco. And Roderick and Darine, this next question goes to you. So seeing that the club now basically is now in the 11th year of the existence. So what do you think, or what do you plan for the next 5 years? I know this, where you stand in the next 5 years is the question that is asked in many varieties and many areas. But what do you see, what do you think, where you see the Toastmasters Malta or the Toastmasters experience in Malta within the next 5 years? What do you think with respect to growing within the country? Darine, maybe you first and then Roderick.
No problem. For me, my mission as a president, the current president, I started with the mentoring program, and I'm really hoping that this will continue throughout the years, because I am realizing that the mentoring program is so fruitful and so beneficial to all members. So it's giving an extra push to the club in itself. So definitely that should continue within the next years. Another aspect that I would like to see is that Toastmasters Malta becomes like sort of an institution or a platform where corporations can come and ask for help, since we are the only club so far. So I would like to see it as an institution where we can offer sort of training courses so that people can become better speakers. These are my main wishes for the upcoming years.
Thank you, Darine. Roderick, what do you have to add to this?
Thank you, Frank. I also believe that there is a lot of potential for public speaking in Malta. There is limited opportunity so far to students at university, reading for university degrees, or even any other schooling for public speaking. And I can firsthand, through experience, say how much I developed and grew since I joined Toastmasters, not only in public speaking, but also in leadership and throughout my profession. Because when you know, when you learn the art of public speaking well, you know how to communicate whatever you know in a much better way. In my personal opinion is that there's plenty of opportunity for Toastmasters to grow. I also believe that the club is only as good as the evaluation that we can give, and I think we've leapfrogged in our evaluation in all aspects, be it virtual, be it physical. We have some of the best evaluators in Malta, and it's always a pleasure. I never get bored of hearing things where I can improve, and I think that will be fertile ground for anyone to learn how to speak in public firsthand.
Thank you so much, Roderick. So I know that there is not even a high level of experience of evaluation and speeches in Malta, because I myself can call me lucky because I visited your club a couple of times as well. I even met you in person, Roderick, 2 years ago in Bulgaria. But before we come to this very special experience, what exactly you made this year, Roderick, I would like you to take me now on a travel to Malta. So now assume I touched down at the airport of La Valletta, and you picked me to a tour in Malta. What should I see if I'm not with Toastmasters? So what can I see? What kind of things I need to see if I'm in Malta?
Oh, well, it very much depends on your preferences, Frank. So the first thing I would tell you is, what do you like? If civilization or history sounds interesting to you, well, there's no better place to be then, because Malta boasts about 7,000 years of civilization. It is one of the oldest civilizations in history. Malta's first claim to fame goes to the biblical shipwreck of St. Paul's. So we're deeply rooted in the Bible. But make no mistake, the civilization in Malta started about 5,000 years before that. And we've gone through all kinds of rulers: Greeks, Roman Empire, Phoenicians, Byzantines, Turks, the Knights of St. John, France. So being in Malta, you start to appreciate that the Maltese culture is a tapestry, if you like, of the remnants of all the different rulers we have had throughout the years. Now, if civilization or history doesn't whet your appetite, then, well, we can boast of, you can go diving. I can take you diving in the clear waters. Plenty of sports activities, if you like paragliding, water skiing, and all the rest. And of course, if that is not interesting enough, then cuisine. What about cuisine? In Malta, you can experience the cuisine from all across the world, being Japanese, Chinese, Lebanese, Italian. And something that really strikes me is that there is no standard cuisine for Malta, because it varies between the south of Malta and the north of Malta, because the culture is so intertwined, they develop different kind of cuisines. Frank, if you are ever to set foot on Malta, you're going to have at the time of your life.
Thank you so much, Roderick. I assume if I will again check in and fly back from La Valletta to my home place, I might have to pay some extra fee because I gained some extra kilo. I'm pretty sure on that. Thank you so much, Roderick. Darine, tell us a bit about some famous and well-known people about the country. Might it be in politics, sports, music, literature? So whom should we look for or Google for? Say, look, this is a person from Malta and that person has done this or that. Because I have to admit, I don't know any famous person from Malta. So please
Really?
enlighten me and our audience.
You mentioned one category, and that is the singing category. for all those who watch the Eurovision, Malta can boast enough to say that there were two famous singers who have ranked this in the second place, and that was Chiara and Ira Losco. And they are very famous nowadays. Another person who's very famous is Joseph Calleja, a Maltese tenor. So he has collaborated with worldwide singers, and obviously politicians. We have a variety of politicians who have reached the headlines for the good note and the bad note. But we do have, like, for example, Lawrence Gonzi, we have our president, we have also the current Prime Minister, Robert Abela. So we do have a variety of Maltese people who are famous. But mainly, I would say in the fashion industry or in the singing industry.
Okay,
Frank,
good to
if
know.
I can add another name,
Please go ahead.
which might have slipped Darine. I think the highest person, the highest Maltese who reached the international stage, in my opinion, is Dr. Edward De Bono. He is the master of lateral thinking. Mm-hmm. I think, in my view, of course, this is a subjective opinion. I think he's the best person who hits the international stage. Other than that, I think I fully agree with what Darine said. Joseph Calleja, the best Maltese tenor who ranks on the international stage, much acclaimed. But to me, if I had to vote, Edward De Bono takes the top prize.
And obviously, if you allow me, hopefully our committee, our club as well, we will be famous people as well.
Darine, that is a very, very nice statement of yours, and I fully agree, because I know at least you, Roderick in person, you I know virtually, and of course the other members of Toastmasters Malta. And that brings me to the point, because we all know what happened this year at the TMI International Convention. Roderick, you won this video competition or convention. Tell us a bit about it, and what do you take away from this? And let us know as well a little bit of inspirational quote from your end, Roderick, to tell to our audience.
Thank you, Frank. If I had to summarize, if I had to look back over my achievements this year, I think there are three lessons that I learned. But in the interest of time, I'll share with you only one. And the top lesson I learned, if I had to summarize it, would be there are learning opportunities, even in the most unwelcome opportunities. Learning opportunities and the most unwelcome opportunities. Let me share this with you. I never joined Toastmasters to learn how to speak in public behind a screen. So when the COVID pandemic suspended our physical meetings, I was about to share with the club that I will be taking a temporary break. Of course, we never knew how temporary COVID was, but at that time we expected it to be temporary. Yeah. Thanks to the president of the club, Marco Ambrogio, to whom I am deeply indebted. He kept coaxing me to keep participating in the clubs and in the club meetings. And believe it or not, I learned so many things. Something as basic like that. The lens on the computer camera, on the laptop camera, was still covered with the protective plastic covering. I never knew what the camera on a laptop would be used for at that time. Pre-COVID, it was just an ornament for nothing. Now, isn't it ironic that in about 12 months later, I would go on to win the international speech competition for video speech competition. And obviously that is, the credit is not mine. The credit goes to our club and my evaluators. But if I had to summarize the underlying lesson that came to me after I won and after I was credited with this win, it would be this: never say no to an uncomfortable opportunity. Always say yes, because an uncomfortable opportunity is simply an unexpected path to something higher that you might never, ever have dreamt about. So never say no. Always say yes to an uncomfortable opportunity. because it simply propels you higher. Frank, does that answer your question?
More than that, Roderick. Thank you so much. And as we have Marco with us as well here, so Marco, can you confirm what Roderick just said? So, because I personally think that definitely the club plays a role, right? And all the members and evaluations, but Roderick, of course, you played a big role to achieve that as well, right? So don't play too low. But I appreciate that you, of course, call in your colleagues from Toastmasters Malta. So Marco, what about you? So what can you leave us from an inspirational point of view? What you want to give us as a gift from the Tates of Toastmasters of Malta for tonight? What should we do? How can you inspire us?
I think the experience of the last 2 years while I was president, because of the pandemic, was a very interesting one. As Roderick said, a lot of unwanted and uncomfortable opportunities, beginning with the fact that we all remember here in Malta, the airport is a big thing. It was shut on, I think, on the 7th of March. We moved online 2 days later, and we never looked back. We had set up everything, one of the first club in Europe. And we continue to hold all the meetings online, including the first contest 2 months later. So this was really offering up opportunities, even if they weren't those that everyone expected to be on stage live in front of an audience, but we still deliver value to everyone. So my inspirational quote is that you shouldn't waste time waiting for the right opportunity. If you cannot be on a stage in front of people, be behind the camera, remove the plastic, and learn something new, as Roderick well said just before. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you as well, Marco. Well said, well said. And as we heard during this interview, or it's more like a panel discussion, thanks for that, is that currently we have one club. And I assume that because the population of Malta is 20% and you have members from various countries as well in your club, Darine, there was one question which I have to admit I forgot to ask. And I assume that the main club language is English, but you might want to reach out for something more. Can you tell us that? And then as well, share a little bit of inspiration from your end with us as well.
Sure. Basically, yes. Our main language is English, but that's the fun part, because since we are so many nationalities in our club, we've heard various speeches in various languages. For example, in Arabic, in French, in Italian, in Spanish, in Polish, because obviously we have evaluators who can understand the language. And also because a lot of people here, Maltese people, speak 3 languages in general. They speak Maltese, English, and understand Italian. And for them, it becomes easier even to understand a bit of Spanish. So for us, that's why we want to cultivate this idea that in our club, you can not only deliver speeches in English, but also in other languages. So whoever is watching, do consider to come in our club and practice any language you can think of. And I'm going to finish off with an inspirational quote by saying, if you can speak, you can influence. And if you can influence, you can change lives.
Thank you so much, Darine. And let me do a quick wrap up of what we just heard tonight for our audience out there. So currently there is one club, but I'm pretty sure there will be more clubs in the future. The first one was established in 2010, so 11 years of Toastmasters in Malta, and I hope for many, many more years to come. The experience in the country itself, I think it's a good one, right? So this is what I could hear from all your answers, and it definitely will become a better one throughout the years. You have a 30 to 40-year-old average, age average for the members from all segments of the society, different nationalities. So you can consider yourself, I think, a multicultural club, because the country itself is a multicultural country, right? That's what I understood. Main language is English, but anyone is welcome to speak in his or her language when they visit your club. So that's a good idea for me, because I maybe can give a speech in German as well. Then I need to find a German evaluator, right? That's the thing to do. So good to know that. And yes, so whenever someone does a trip to Malta, ensure that you go and visit the huge variety of civilization and history and all those stories linked to that. Of course, if you're into diving, scuba diving, then Roderick is your man to go to because he's our adrenaline junkie, what you heard tonight. And me as a food lover, so I would first take the third option, I have to admit here. But nevertheless, huge variety, multicultural variety of food as well in Malta. So I think when you have your Malta experience, you will not regret that. Thank you so much, everyone, for the tales of Toastmasters from the country of Malta, one of our latest addition to our District 109. Thank you, Roderick, once again. Congratulations once again for your win this year. Darine, thank you so much for attending here, and good luck and continuation with your presidency. Marco, thank you as well as the Italian who is in that club, let me put it this way. So congratulations to all of you, what you have achieved so far. My name is Frank Kaiser, and I wish you all the best for your future work, volunteering, things you do within Toastmasters, because I think for me personally, the networking, visiting other countries, learn from them, that's why we are here. And I finish off for tonight, and stay safe and healthy. So much for attending here, and good luck and continuation.